I don't think the earth is flat, by the way. Today, we are going to talk again about not going to the moon. Why? Because a lot of people in the comment section were very disrespectful to the Big Bear and saying stuff about me being stupid and not questioning my IQ and whatnot, and saying that they're unsubscribing and that they're embarrassed they ever supported me. One guy even said, you should just erase this and tell everyone you were drunk when you made it. For those of you that don't know me yet, that's exactly how you get me to make many, many more videos on exactly the same topic until your lies are ground into dust. Reuters, NASA landing tapes got erased. Okay? That's insane. And it says, the good news is he found where they went. The bad news is they were part of a batch of 200,000 tapes that were magnetically erased and reused to save money. The gun that shot Alexander Hamilton will be kept because it's a historical artifact. The moon landing tapes are, in our secular religion of the United States government, that is, that's just like the holy grail of artifacts. They wouldn't just get rid of it. As people said that the magnetic strips got demagnetized, they got corrupted with time. They said they reused them, so that's out the door. Like NASA said that they reused the tapes because that's how liars operate. Liars have to go farther than they have to. So, when he said they reused the tapes, he was trying to say like it was for budgetary reasons. That means the tapes weren't damaged. They were still usable. The goal was live TV. That doesn't make any sense. Bear in mind, they said they had the good footage because everyone was like, yeah, the live TV was so grainy and no one could really see anything. They're like, yeah, well, we have the good stuff. We have the good stuff. And then they said the opposite. And then they jokingly, quote unquote, said, we should have had a historian running around saying, I don't care if you were ever going to use them. We're going to keep them, he said. Historian or any taxpayer. You don't have to have a historian. And bear in mind, this all started when I saw Steph Curry say that we never went to the moon accurately, because we never went to the moon. And then he had to apologize immediately. Apologize. Now Steph Curry has to apologize for saying the obvious, that we didn't, in fact, go to space. So let's check out what the NASA engineers, let's recap from yesterday.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up, and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this flight, it's time to head home. The upper stage of the rocket triggers separation. Orion's jets fire to turn it into the proper position to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. No matter what happens now, we're coming in. 75 miles above Earth, the spacecraft enters the atmosphere. Things happen quickly. We're now traveling more than 20,000 miles per hour. Air particles pushed out of the way heat up. An envelope of hot plasma surrounds the vehicle as it plummets towards Earth. The plasma reaches temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, almost twice as hot as molten lava. This may be the most dangerous part of the flight. Mission Control is monitoring all the data from the spacecraft, and then we lose communication again. No data can penetrate the plasma. Orion is on its own. Orion is inside a fireball. Onboard systems ignite jets to keep the ship pointed correctly, so the specially constructed heat shield takes the full brunt of the inferno. This is the largest heat shield of its kind ever made. Orion's computers command the spacecraft to bank like an airplane, keeping a precise path to the landing site. Even though we've slowed from 20,000 miles per hour to about 300 miles per hour, we're still traveling amazingly fast. We must slow down to safely land in the ocean. Luckily, we have parachutes. Specially designed for Orion, the parachutes help us hit the brakes, but not too quickly. One day people will be aboard, so deceleration must happen in stages to keep things comfortable for the crew. The forward bay cover jettisons. Two drogue chutes deployed and slow the returning spacecraft down to 175 miles per hour. Then, the three main parachutes open. Once fully engaged, this canopy would cover an American football field.
Whoa!
It takes parachutes this size and strength to slow our descent to 20 miles per hour, and then splashdown. For this first flight, we won't have astronauts inside, but we still have some very precious cargo. The flight data from this mission is stored inside the Orion spacecraft. While our flight might be over, there is still a lot of work to do. Onboard sensors recorded every detail, from launch to flying in space, to re-entry to landing.
Okay, so basically, 60 years ago, we had it fine. It was all good. But now, these are major challenges they have to accomplish. And for those of you that were arguing with me about heat and temperature, that re-entry, he said that it's molten lava-like, 4,000 degrees, I think he said, of molten lava. So I don't know if you still want to argue with me about that, but aluminum would melt. Yeah. And then the whole parachute situation, it's like the size of a football field, and everyone's supposed to go, whoa, no way. They didn't have that during the moon landing at all, but they all survived somehow. And then the Van Allen radiation belt, and they're like, these are some of the greatest struggles and challenges. Well, I thought you solved it 60 years ago, and then never went back mysteriously. They say they went back, but it was in a very short amount of time, and then no country ever went back. By the way, Russians don't think we went. People are like, well, why didn't the Russians go? They did. The Russians tried to disprove it. Nobody in Russia, and in most countries, they think it's a lie. They look at us as the same way we look at them for like, Stalin's gulags weren't a spa. Like, we know the truth. They look at us and say it's open knowledge that this is a lie in other countries because no one can go to the moon. No one's done it since. I can name billionaires that want to go to the moon right now. If people could go to the moon, they would go to the moon right now. I mean, people want to go to the moon. Why wouldn't you want to jump around in like low gravity and play golf and stuff? Do you understand? Like, people go to Phoenix. It's like, of course they want to go to the moon. People want to go to Mars. Why not the moon? We have so much drive now that we can disprove one of the greatest lies in the history of the world. There you go.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But
if you believe this,
going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to.
Okay, this is all bullshit. This is all bullshit. I mean, if the first step is going back to the moon to go to Mars, why don't we just go back to the moon now? It should be pretty easy if we did it in '69. Let's watch some more stuff. Which one's this? Oh, and if you want to know the motivation for NASA doing all this lying and manipulation, money. Just money. They get $57 million a day from taxpayers right now. Some people say, oh, it's a waste of money. $57 million a day goes to NASA. NASA. Everyone was saying that I was pronouncing it wrong, but maybe you're pronouncing it wrong. Bunch of dipshits. NASA.
1969 say that you can't see the stars in space.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
You can see the stars.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Yeah. Recognize that guy? That's our doofus that just said that we destroyed all the technology. So this is Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. They're saying that they can't see the stars. And then the other guys are like, oh, yeah, of course you can see the stars.
I don't remember seeing any.
NASA says that we can't leave low Earth orbit.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
The kinds of technologies that we're testing out on space station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Early in the next decade, the set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
And
I thought we already did, Barack. I thought we already left low Earth orbit before. These people don't even remember their own lies. All right, so check out this Neil Armstrong interview. He's only given one interview in his entire career, and this is it.
We have with us a group of students among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
That's very cryptic. One of truth's protective layers. Because that guy was very depressed, went through a divorce, never gave interviews. He had a mysterious finger almost get chopped off that he blamed on something nonsensical. We never went to the moon, guys. Steph Curry was right. He never should have apologized. Oh, I'm going to show you guys this stuff. This is gnarly. This is from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, a documentary. Dude, just watch some of this stuff. This is wacky. Yeah.
Third confidential party, prompting the astronauts with what to say, when to speak, and how to effectively manipulate the camera to achieve the desired misleading effect. NASA claims that the Houston transmissions were the only ones taking place with the astronauts. Listen now as Houston Control initiates a conversation with the crew, only to find them too preoccupied with the behind-the-scenes trickery to respond. Moments pass, and the oversight is picked up on by the clandestine third party, who quickly prompts them with talk. Immediately, Neil Armstrong speaks.
Call Apollo 11. Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay,
Again, the illusion they are attempting to create is the Earth at a distance to demonstrate their far journey from it and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. Understand, too, that only about 20 seconds of this raw footage was ever broadcast to the public, and these conversations discussing their deception were believed to be private, until now. Here they discuss that these television transmissions were in fact not broadcast live as everyone believed. They were first screened and edited for playback later.
Roger, dear. We just wanted a narrative such that we can, when we get the playback, we can sort of correlate what we're saying. Thank you very much.
Here they discuss the fact that they have turned out the lights and have blocked out sunlight from entering the spacecraft through the other windows, as to not cause any reflected light to fall onto the spacecraft's wall in the foreground.
Okay, very good. Well, we shut out the sun coming in from the spacecraft, so it's looking through the number one window, and there's any reflected light.
The reason this was done is so that the truth of the matter would not be revealed. It is this. Though the federal government would have you believe that this is a view of Earth from a distance out of the spacecraft's window as it nears the moon, it is not. What they have ingeniously done is placed the camera at the back of the spacecraft and centered the lens on a circular window in the foreground, outside of which it is completely filled with the Earth in low orbit. The circumference of the window then appears to be the diameter of the Earth at a distance, with the darkened walls of the spacecraft appearing to be the blackness of space around it. That is why they wanted the interior dark and blocked out the sun from entering through the other windows. Here you can see the extruded window, probably 2 inches thick at the bottom. This is because the Earth's shine is coming in at a downward angle. It also causes the Earth to appear to be an irregularly shaped circle, for you are seeing the outside of the window at the bottom and the inside of the window at the top, which together form 2 different sized halves of a circle. Subsequently, this take was never used. As they perfected the shot, a crescent-shaped piece of black material was inset slightly into the window to create the illusion of the Earth's terminator line dividing night and day. It is uncannily convincing. During this segment, intended to be edited and played back later for the worldwide television audience, dated July 18, 1969, Neil Armstrong condemns himself as he states that he is 130,000 miles out, or halfway to the moon, as the NASA flight log also states on this date, when he is in reality in low Earth orbit of a few hundred miles.
Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
Here, during another segment, also intended to air after review, Neil Armstrong falsely explains to the viewers how the shot is attained by putting the camera's lens to the window's glass, as it would have to be if they were the claimed distance away from the Earth.
We only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera.
If the window was completely filled up with a TV camera, as he stated, then an astronaut's arm would not be able to get between the camera and the window, as it obviously does here in this outtake.
South America becomes invisible just off beyond the Terminator or inside the shadow.
You can also notice how the astronaut operating the camera reacted to the mistake by attempting to pan away from it.
All right. There's many documentaries on this. I just want to show you guys some more. So let's do the review here. They no longer have the technology to go back because they destroyed it, and it's too hard to bring back. They want to go to Mars, and so they need tons of money. They don't have any of the data from, or the telemetry data, or any of it from the original because they taped over it. They, the moon, the visuals themselves have been doctored. I don't know, man. You guys can, and for the people that say, oh, you're an idiot if you question that. Okay, like even bearing in mind the difference between temperature and heat when it comes to melting points, they still can't figure out how to get human beings to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. So how could they back then? They had all the motivation in the world to lie. They did lie. There's Barack Obama right now saying we will finally get humans past low Earth orbit, forgetting that we already supposedly did. So feel free to comment, and yeah, I know there's still going to be people being like, I am ashamed of you, Owen. That's how hypnosis works. That's how you get trigger words. You get trigger ideas, where if you question the moon landing, you're seen as like this raging idiot fool. But yet, even when you have all the information and they have none of the information, I was watching all these videos of how we got through Van Allen Belt and how it all works and the moon rocks. The moon rock we gave Holland turned out to be petrified wood. Do you know that some people on the comments said that it was because there was once forests on the moon? That's more believable to them than the fact we faked the moon landing.